All right, so we have 6:30 on the clock. So I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting of the Marshfield Conservation Commission on, believe it or not, April 6, 2021. I would look for a second, please.
Second, Craig Hannafin.
Craig Hannafin, second.
Thank you, Mr. Grafton. We'll take a roll call vote to open the meeting. Please announce your name and your vote. Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art.
Art Loggy, yes.
Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. Bill, you have that vote?
I do 700.
I think it's 6, right?
600. Sorry, I forgot about Joe. My bad.
Yeah, Joe is not with us this evening. Okay, so the meeting, April 6th Conservation Commission is officially open. I'm going to call to order. I will now do Chairman's address. Maybe I'll just announce the continued hearings for people in case they're here first. Bill, help me if I miss one here, but we'll ratify these continues as we move forward in the evening, but just in case anyone's here, you don't want to have to wait because South River Street, SC 4229 is continued, Oak Street, SC 422908 is continued. Brewster Murphy, SC 422887 is continued. 13, SC 422917 is continued. 62 Marginal Road, SC 422916 is continued. 300 Ridge Road. Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. 300 Ridge Road, SC 422820 is continued.
Amended.
Yes, amended. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
As you can see, we have a list of continuances. So I'll just go over things quick. First, we can get the meeting going here. All meetings are to continue remotely until further notice. I think everyone can notice that. The 3 continuous rules is still in effect. Please mute your speaker or whatever we want to call it until you wish to speak. Having a recent high of 25 items this evening to take votes on. So it's a very, very busy evening. Please make sure you keep your discussions to the point. Please don't wander off in discussions and presentations. Stay on subject and on items that are necessary for the deliberation and consideration of the commissioners for their vote. Modified Robert rules are in effect. 5 minutes uninterrupted for the applicant, 1 minute for the administrator, 10 minutes for commission discussion. It's a closed discussion period only between the commissioners. Public comment, vote. Please address all your comments to the chair or the hearing officer. Pre-vote polls may be conducted to gain perspective of the commission. All votes will be conducted by roll call with each commissioner announcing their name and vote. As I mentioned earlier, this evening there are 25 votes to conduct. Regretfully, hearings that obviously could not be heard or failed to provide the necessary information for a vote were not withdrawn from the agenda in a timely fashion. The denial without prejudice was created exactly to minimize these types of occurrences. Leaving hearings on the agenda that never should have been on the agenda and not withdrawn prior to the filing deadlines needlessly lengthens the meetings, requires significant time resources for the administrator, agent, and the commissioners, and most importantly, increases costs for applicants. As challenging as charging an applicant or their representative is with a denial without prejudice, not fulfilling this objective causes more disruption than good. Our requirements to be on the agenda and filing deadlines are very reasonable. I am encouraging the commission to uphold non-compliances with denials without prejudice. The next topic I have is to address B2. It's a commission discussion of our revised draft policy and procedure guide manual and ratification motion. Policy and procedure document is not a bylaw or a regulation. Rather, it is an internal guidance manual for the commission. Policy procedure. Please mute if you could. Policy and procedure manual in many ways is driven from our regulations. Thus, to revise this document, we needed to first pass the new regulations, which was accomplished on March 18th, 2021. The commission is now considering the draft revisions for ratification. The outline for the revised draft manual has 7 sections. The last 2 are forms and fee schedules. This evening, we are discussing only the first 2 sections. The commissioners decided to conduct this review of the previously dispersed draft document in the business session versus an executive session to provide citizens the knowledge of the consideration of and the vote of the draft policy and procedure manual. Revised sections of the draft policy and procedure manual are available at the conservation office. Should you like to review, just give the office a call, set up an appointment, and we'll set it up for you. From a procedural perspective, the business sessions are led and managed by the chair. Requests to be recognized must be addressed by the chair. The chair determines discussion order and participants. Our last comment is to remind all applicants and their representatives that the commission wants to see impervious to pervious tables so we may understand the total proposed impact of the projects. Also, projects that have patios, walkways, fire pits, etc., that are listed as permeable require a cross-section clearly identifying the design to ensure to the commission that they are permeable. Okay, that is up for the chairman's address. We'll move on to the business session. The first one is B1 251 Damon's Point. I think what we've decided to do here, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, is that we are going to the date for discussion, and what's on the agenda for the commissions this evening is just to conduct a ratification vote to accept the $500 extension or whatever term you may want to use for the third party. Is correct, Bill?
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think also getting some kind of message out to the consultant, not the third party, but the consultant, to get this plan turned in and to remind them about the 3 years of monitoring, because I was rereading the notes and I saw 2 years of monitoring, which is not correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Grafton. So what I'd like to do then is to make a motion that we accept the additional $500 worth of funding for the Marshfield Conservation third-party consultant. I would look for a second for that motion, please.
Second, Susan Karen.
Susan, Bill. Conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Arthur,
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. All right, we'll move on to B2. B2 is the policy and procedure review and ratification stated in the policy in the agenda. Previously, the commissioners have seen and read the quick poll of the commissioners to make sure they have seen it, have gotten it and seen it. And we will have any discussion they wish. We'll look at any changes they wish. And then we'll try to ratification of the draft document for Article 1, Article 2. So once again, this is the draft Marshfield Wetlands Protection, and these are not the ones I wanted. What did I do with them? Well, I can do it. I can just wing it. So 1 and 2 basically are highly procedural items, and they define the role of the commission. They define how you take a vote. They define who can take a vote, when a vote can be taken. They also define roles and responsibilities for the agent, administrator, chair, vice chair, and who am I missing? And the hearing officers. So a very similar small procedural things like that. So with that, I will open it up to discussion, commissioners, and we'll take a quick poll. Susan, Commissioner Susan, were you able to get the document, review it?
Yes, I have. I have no comments.
Okay, Commissioner Craig, have you been able to do same?
I have done the same and have no comments.
Commissioner Rick,
Yeah, Rick has been reviewed the docs and I'm good with all that. No comments.
Commissioner Arthur,
Art Loggy, no comments.
you have a chance to review it, Arthur?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chair,
Reviewed and no comments.
okay, Jim Kilcoyne, since he helped participate in writing it, I have had a chance to review it, and I don't have any additional comments. So since we brought this forward, the commissioners have also had a chance to see this internal guidance draft document, and we are voting this evening to approve the policy procedure section 1 and section 2 as written. And I would like a second for that, please.
Art
Second.
Loggy,
Art O'Donnell,
Okay. Clean that up.
George,
Clean that up. And it's the chairman made a motion on the 2. He needs a second on section 1. Who is that?
we can't do both sections at once, Bill. Why can't we do both sections at once?
Well, they were fighting. They were doing jump ball, so I did try to help. That's all. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna make a motion to accept both of them, and so that I'll restate the motion. We're gonna make a motion to approve the draft policy procedure manual, section 1 and section 2 as written.
second, Bert O'Donnell,
Bert O'Donnell on both? Understood.
sections 1 and 2.
All right, we'll go around the horn. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Mr. Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Bert,
O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes as well. Okay, so those are adopted. The intention of the commission, as I stated before, was that these policy and procedures are directly tied to a new 505 regulations. So now that we have the regulations adopted, we're doing a very fast follow to get these out. We've already got 1 and 2. I expect at the next meeting that we will have at least 1, possibly 2 more to finish up, and that'll get us 4/5 of the way. As I said, the last 2 are just forms and they are previously ratified fee schedule.
Mr. Chairman, could I chime in for a second? Maybe very briefly?
You, Mr.
Just wanted to make sure that we're not referring it to as new. These are
These are draft revised. Thank you, sir.
These are, yeah, he's referring to the Chapter 505 Marshfield Wetland Protection Regulations approved March 18, 2021. And the body we're working right now is a policy and procedure guide. And it's now partially approved.
Thank you, sir. We'll now move to B3, 16E Street Enforcement Order Resolution Letter on October 14th.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman, it's Bill Finn.
Mr. Finn, yes.
Since I am sitting in just for the policy and procedure guide review, I think I'll leave the meeting. Is that all right?
Mr. Finn, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you earlier. I do appreciate your attendance. I will want to make sure that everyone in the public understands that these documents, both the revised 505 regulations that were recently passed and this policy and procedure manual would not be the same without the assistance of Mr. Finn. I want to publicly thank him again for your participation this evening and in the development of both manuals, Mr. Finn.
You're welcome.
Ovation. Thank you, sir.
And
Thank
thanks
you,
for taking
Bill.
the time this evening to join us, Bill.
All right, I'll see you the next time.
Okay,
right,
we're doing good according to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. So we'll go down to B3, 16E, Street Enforcement Order, Delusion Letter. On October 14th, 2020, enforcement order was issued to Mr. LeConte for a violation of 16 East Street in the Barrier Beach Coastal Dune, VE flood zone. Violation involved the placement of cobble rocks of the coastal dune on Mr. LeConte's property. After giving the enforcement order, Mr. LeConte removed the rocks back down to the coastal beach. The conservation administrator and agent visited the site. We're pleased to find the site was returned to pre-disturbance conditions. Commission ratified the dissolution letter and close out enforcement order S42, open parentheses, 20-06, close parentheses. I would like a motion to ratify and send the dissolution letter and close out the enforcement order. I'd look for a second.
Second, Rick Carberry.
Capture that, Bill?
Yep, Eric and I have it.
Okay, very good. We'll go around the horn. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Mr. Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Mr. Rick. I'm sorry, Commissioner Hart.
I recuse, neighbor.
That's correct. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
And Jim Kilcoyne is a yes as well. I just do want to make a note that we still have a quorum, even though we have one recused and one.
So, Mr. Chairman, for the record, that's a 5-0 because we have accused Art Leahy, Commissioner Art Leahy will have to return after this is completed.
Correct. So we will now ask Arthur to come back to the meeting. Arthur?
I am here.
All right, Arthur is back. B4, Commission Community Gift Donation. So this was a donation that was very gracious of Mr. Thomas Roach. On December 18th, 2020, he sent a donation letter to the town administrator, Mr. Maresco, requesting that his donation be deposited in the Conservation Community Gifts account. On this letter, he cited his family's enjoyment of the parks and open space managed and preserved by the town. In recognition of Mr. Roach's generosity, a letter of gratitude has been prepared, and the commission is pleased to ratify this letter. Mr. Grafton, would you like to have any comments on this?
Let Eric take it. Take your mute off, Eric. Just give a rundown, please.
All right, Eric.
Sure. So as Mr. Chairman said, we received the letter in December, and he cited his family's love of the open space and conservation that we have here in Marshfield, and all the work that the Conservation Commission and department do in maintaining and preserving this land. And so his donation was with the intention of maintaining this for years to come. So we feel it's important that we recognize this generosity, and we think the best way to do that is with this letter here tonight.
Thank you. We very much appreciate the donation. It was very gracious of you and very nice of you. Thank you very much on behalf of all the commissioners. We'll move on to B5 now, 890 Webster Street. This is a review, ratify revised wetlands buffer zone restoration plan. The commission ratified enforcement order SE 42, open parentheses 20-07, close parentheses, that was issued fall of 2020. Bill Grafton and the Commissioner Ring have been working successfully with the homeowner, James Woolley. Mr. Grafton walked the site and field identified locations for conservation markers as per conservation requirements. Mr. Grafton had previously allowed the relocation of dilapidated shack outside the 25-foot setback bordering vegetated wetlands. Mr. Zimmer, wetland scientist, has prepared a finalized wetland and buffer zone restoration plan dated March 30th, 2021. According to the plan, the existing structure shed will be removed and it will be revegetated. I would like to make a motion that we ratify the revised wetland buffer zone restoration plan. Look for a second.
Second, Art Loggy.
Bill, you capture that?
Got it.
All right.
Yes, I got it. I did get it.
All right. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Mr. Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
Mr. Arthur,
Art Loggy, yes.
Mr. Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Did
Yes.
we need to vote to ratify the letter of gratitude to Mr. Roach?
That is an excellent point of order, and that was an omission on my part. Thank you very much for bringing that up. We will do that now. Thank you, Craig. That was a severe oversight on my part. So I would like to make a motion that we ratify the letter of gratitude to Mr. Roach for his kind donation. And I'd like to make a second for that.
Craig Hannafin, second.
Thank you, Craig. We will go, Bill, you captured the second on that one?
I do indeed. Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer, Constitute Commissioner.
All of us.
All of us.
Craig.
Yeah.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
Mr. Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Mr. Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes.
6-0, I got that too.
All right.
Okay, I can't talk, but I can count.
Thank you, Craig. That was severe oversight. So now we have, I believe it's 6 de minimis activities. So we're going to vote to ratify the de minimis activities of these 6 cases identified since the adoption of the new chapter, the revised chapter 505 regulations on March 18th, 2021. So in order to move forward, I'm going to recommend for a protocol, I'm going to just go over each one, and then I will request if there are any comments. If there are, then we'll take it out as a separate bucket. If there are no comments, then we will move forward and we will make a ratification vote for all at the same time. So I would like to make a motion to ratify a de minimis activity for pruning and limbing activities at 25 Wilson Road. Without objection? Hearing none, then I'd like to make a motion that we do that and looking for a second. Oh, sorry. I'm not violating my own ideas. Next, lot 2 is Rights 106 Rights Way, parcel F10-0526.
Jim, could I just make a suggestion? I know you want to go through them kind of quick, but there's some messages here. In the case of 25 de minimis, 25 Wilson, we want to make sure that he stays on his own property. Not that he doesn't know that, it's just you need to say that. I had some other comments. So I think there's some degree of
Yes, that's where I asked for comments or without objection. So yes, that would be the appropriate point for you to bring up those things.
All right, in the case of 25 Wilson, he needs to stay in his own property and not take out the roots or the vegetation completely. He's just pruning and limbing. That's it.
Okay, thank you for that. Now we'll move on to 106 Rights Way.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm the subject of the first item.
Yes,
Name yourself and your address, please.
Joe Pasevich, 25 Wilson Road.
Mr. Pasevich.
Well, thank you. While I understand the basics of the agreement that I talked to Bill at some length about, I would appreciate it if I could get that agreement in writing.
We'll take care of you.
Thank you. And by the way, I don't think you
Send an email out to everybody. I think.
Yes, okay, I appreciate that. And by the way, I don't think you recorded the vote on item F of the business FB6 of the, I'm sorry, item E, 890 Webster Street. I think you voted it, but I don't think you recorded the vote. That's just a point of order.
No, we did get it, Joe, and
I
that
know
one.
you voted it, but I didn't hear the
I'll just read it back,
result.
and then we want to move on.
Thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Art Legge.
Mr. Grafton, would you please respond to that and just get it out so it's done?
Yep, we'll take care of it.
No, I'm talking about the vote.
Oh, I just did it. Okay, I'll do it again. The item he was talking about on Hooley, 890 Webster Street, it's the record. JK made the motion to vote to ratify the revised wetland buffer zone restoration plan. It was prepared by John Zimmer. And the second was Art Legge, and we had 600. The Craig Hannafin had required us to go back to make a motion for B4 Commission Community Gift Fund donation. Jim Kilcoyne made the motion for the commission to ratify a letter of gratitude and submit it to the to Thomas Roach. Craig Hannafin seconded. We had 600. So we have it.
Okay. I just want to make sure that everyone had that and everyone felt comfortable. Okay, so where are we now? Which one was
We're
on?
on B Lot 2, 106 Rights Way under de minimis.
106 Rights Way. So I'd like to the commission to make a motion to ratify a de minimis activity for the alteration of the buffer zone at 106 Right Way. And this is the time for someone to make comments, should they like.
Yes, I will make some comment if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman.
Please go.
We need to remind the homeowner, Affarati, the new homeowner, that the subdivision orders and conditions, the homeowners association deed, and the OSRD requirements apply to this property. So we'll make that part of that. Bill will send an email.
Okay, duly noted. Any other comments from the commissioners? Without further comments, I'd like to make a motion that we vote to ratify de minimis activity for the alteration of the buffer zone for 106 Rights Way. Looking for a second.
Second,
Who's seconding?
second.
After that, Bill?
Karen.
Okay, I heard Susan.
Yep, that's right.
All right, then we'll do a roll call vote. We will not do a roll call.
Jim, you don't
Yes.
want to do this, do you? Don't you want to get through them all?
Yeah, I just keep on doing it because I'm so used
No,
to
but
it, Bert.
Bert, the problem is I got to have an opportunity to speak on these things. If you want to do it a flat thing, that's fine. but
No. That's not what he meant. That's not what he meant. Bert, yes, I'm just so used to doing it the other way, Bert. Sorry.
I understand.
All right, so we're at 2160 Ocean Street. This would be a motion to ratify de minimis activity for the installation of a temporary safety fence at 2106 Ocean Street. I'll open up the commissioners for comments should they wish. Bill, would you like to?
Yeah, my message would be to remind the property owner to file the new NOI by May 4th to be on the May 20th MCC public meeting and attach the removal of the fence to the special conditions under forthcoming OOC. In other words, you don't want the fence to be a permanent structure. We just want it to be a temporary structure for safety reasons to satisfy the building department as well.
Okay, thank you. Without any,
Yeah, I have a question on that. What's temporary? How long, we talking about some definition of what that is?
I thought it might be able to get put into the special conditions at the time of the filing, Art, and get it done now. I've got the I got the NOI being delivered by May 20th. That means we get the special conditions within 21 days, and that can be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever the commission wants at that point in time when they have greater control over the project.
is that satisfactory to you, Commissioner Arthur?
Yeah, I would pick a time. So, I mean, a temporary to me is what is the end point of the temporary?
Okay, I think I have a way out of this,
When-
Bill. Bill, when is it going to be submitted to us?
It should be on May 4th, the latest, and there'll be
May
a
4th,
hearing
the
before
latest.
the May 20th, roughly.
Okay, and then I would like to make a motion that no later than May 4th, that we have the application to obtain this de minimis activity for this fence. And then on that meeting, we can determine, Arthur, what timelines we give them.
Fine, yeah, that's,
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion as such, and I would look for a second.
you're gonna
Keep
do
going.
one. I'll second it. Art Loggy.
Commissioner Craig, is something wrong?
I didn't know whether you want to second each as you go or if you want to bundle them.
Oh,
Right.
I'll just keep doing the same thing. No, I don't want to second it. Thank you, Craig. It's 4 hours reviewing for this stuff, and so used to doing it this way. Maybe I'll have to go back to the old way. It's because it seems just as slow for me, doesn't it? So we have Ocean Street, and now we have 10 Howellsbrook Road. This will be a motion to ratify de minimis activity for vegetative management of invasive and opportunity.
Wait, Jim, what happened to D 391 Union? Hatch Mill Group?
I'll go back to that. De minimis activity for vegetative management of invasive opportunist vines downgrading the 50-foot setback, 10 Howellsbrook Road. Bill,
I have comments, yes. The comments are this: the commission should advise Mr. Kim not to touch any trees without consulting the conservation administrator or agent. It's only and exclusively for invasive vines and opportunistic vines that will encroach on those plants.
okay. Any further comments from the commissioners? All right, then I will go to 391 Union Street. It'll be voted to ratify diminished activity for the installation of it. Oh, we already did the temporary fence. Which one do you want me to go to, Bill?
No. It's the Union Street Hatch Mill Group, the dam project, the
5 and 6.
it's D 391 Union.
I see that. That's on bottom of page 5. At the top of page 6, it goes to a temporary fence.
Yeah, I made a mistake. So vote to ratify a de minimis activity for the maintenance of the dam bank at 391 Union Street. My bad, I didn't proofread that very well. Sorry.
All right. I feel better now that I didn't miss it. Would you re-articulate exactly?
Yep, the commission will vote to ratify a de minimis activity for the maintenance of the dam bank at 391 Union Street.
Okay. So as just mentioned by the conservation administrator, I would like to make a motion to accept that and listen to any comments from commissioners. And I'm not going to make a motion. I'm going to just have comments from commissioners. Thank you, Craig. Comments from commissioners, we will move on. I'm still on page 6 now. There's way too many of these, Bill. My goodness. Which one?
1204 Union Street, Rodriguez.
I'm on my page. Am I on 1204 Union now?
Correct.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'd like to make a vote to ratify de minimis activity for vegetative management within the buffer zone for one dead tree at 1204 Union Street. I'd like to make that motion. Would I like to hear any comments from commissioners, then we'll go to Bill.
Yes, I don't have any comments on this one, other than I met with him in the field and he was cooperative.
Any comments from the commissioners?
No.
So now I can do that thing I've been trying to do the whole 6 times, can't I? So I'd like to make a motion to accept all the diminished activities that we have just heard and spoken about and had comments thereon. And I'd like to look for a second for that.
Second, Craig Hanafin.
Thank you, Craig. That's that, Bill.
Yeah, so we got a group roll. Okay, roll call vote.
Ready.
Group.
Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hanafin, yes.
Mr. Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Mr. Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Mr. Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Mr. Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. That was difficult. Okay,
600. All right. I guess we have the minutes now, Mr. Chairman.
all right.
They were too bad. I didn't get any comments, Mr. Chairman, on the minutes, other than they were good. Eric and I looked them over pretty carefully.
So you're talking about item number 3, minutes?
Yeah.
On the agenda?
Right.
Are you requesting that we take a vote to accept those, Mr. Administrator?
Yeah, I think that I had gotten no comments. That'd be my.
Right, so I'm looking for you then to summarize the exact minutes.
Right. So the minutes will start out with the March 16th regularly scheduled meeting minutes. They were submitted to the commission. I've gotten no comments back. If there's no other comments, then at this stage, I would suggest that they're approved as written. Same thing with the meeting minutes of the March 18th meeting when we reviewed the Chapter 505 draft Marshfield wetlands protection regulations, and then they were ratified. And I didn't get any comments on those either, other than yours, Mr. Chairman. That's it.
Okay.
So that's it.
So I would like to make a motion that we accept the March 16th minutes as written. Like a second for that.
And then the other ones as edited.
Mhm. I'd like to make a motion for accepting March 16th minutes as written. Looking for a second.
Who's going to second that?
Second, Bert O'Donnell,
Thank you, Bert.
Roll call vote, Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hanafin, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Carberry, yes.
Mr. Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Mr. Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Joe Coyne is a yes. All right, then I'd also like to make a motion to accept the March 18th minutes as edited.
Perfect.
Second, Craig Hanafin.
Okay, got it.
Seconded that. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hanafin, yes.
Mr. Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Mr. Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
myself is yes. Okay.
It helps so much. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Bill. Now we're going to move on to the public sections. This is 57 Kent. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetland Protection Act, Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetland Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, April 6, 2021 at 6:30 PM on Zoom to consider a request for determination of applicability for 54 Kent Ave. And the hearing officer is Commissioner Susan.
Yes. So this is a request for determination of applicability at 54 Kent Avenue. Bill, are their taxes up to date? We all set on that?
Yeah. Yes, the taxes were paid. We confirmed that at 3/25/21.
Okay.
The gas median fees were handled or were received on 3/9/21. The legal ad was published on 3/31/21, and we confirmed all that.
Okay, thank you, Bill. So this is for the resource areas covered by this are there's land subject to coastal storm flowage. Part of it is in velocity 13 flood zone and buffer zone to coastal dune. And I see Brad here. Are you Brad Holmes to present this?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Thank you, members of the commission. Brad Holmes with ECR here for 54 Kent Avenue. We prepared and submitted a request for determination of applicability to confirm that the work at this site does not require the filing of a notice of intent. Simply put, the project involves the conversion of a 3-season room to an addition, no increase in the size of the structure footprint, and the replacement of piles that are associated with the existing deck in that structure. And also underneath that structure and deck, there's a concrete patio, and we're looking to remove that concrete patio and replace it with pervious pavers. Pavers will allow rainwater to obviously percolate through where it does not now. It's a simple project. It's within the buffer zone to a coastal dune, partially within land subject to coastal storm flowage. I have photographs if the commission would like to see more information or discuss further, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Bill, do you have any comments, Mr. Grafton?
No, I walked the line. It looks fine. Brad does great work. We missed one flag. Brad committed to hanging it again. It was helpful for the neighboring lot that had some activities going on. So it's pretty straightforward. His professional land surveyor, I believe, is his title, didn't have the 100. He quickly responded when Brad told him to get the 100 to us because it's required. Brad, good job. Keep leaning on that because we need that to happen or else we get kicked out. Thank you so much for moving this forward.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Commissioners, do we have any comments or questions? No? Okay, seeing none. Do we have anybody from the public that is interested in commenting or has questions? Okay. Seeing none, what I would like to do then is to make a motion to approve this request for an RDA and issue a positive determination 5 for the bylaw, a -5 for the state exemption 310 CMR 10.02 2B, and a -3 with special conditions, which Bill would like to address, I assume.
Yeah, well, thank you. Ensure best management practice and building codes are followed before commencing the work. Obtain all subsequent permits, including Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals and building permits. See the conservation administrator or agent. Sorry about that, Eric. I missed you there. For guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities. And that's it.
Okay. Do I have a second to approve the motion?
Second.
That was Art. Okay. Did you get that, Bill?
I did.
Okay. Roll call vote. Art Loggy. Okay.
Art Loggy, yes.
Craig Hannafin.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Vice Chair Bert O'Donnell.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Rick Carberry.
Rick Carver, yes.
Chair Jim Kilcoyne.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes.
And Susan Karen is a yes.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll make a note that it is now 7:08. We're now moving on to the next item. We did get a DEP number for this, correct?
Yes, all of them have DEP numbers. They came through in a timely manner.
Thank you very much. So this is 35 Marshall, compliance with the regulations of Marshall General Laws 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Code of Town of Marshall, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshall Conservation Commission on Tuesday the 6th, 6:30 p.m. by Zoom to consider an after-the-fact notice of intent filed by 35 Marshall Ave. And the hearing officer is Commissioner Craig.
Thank you. Bill, can you confirm, I guess no taxes here, but fees and abutters notified?
Yes, Madam Hearing Officer, momentarily I'll get that for you. I'm just pulling the file up. Taxes, as you said, are exempt. The butters were notified and we had confirmed on 3/21/21. File number was submitted on 3/31/21. We also had Gatehouse Media fees received on 3/23/2021. The fees for the filing were exempt. Legal ad was published on 3/31/2021.
Thank you. This is an after-the-fact NOI for filling, alteration, and recreational equipment at Peter Igo Park. Is Mr. Brennan here?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to present for us?
Sure, I would. For the record, I'm Patrick Brennan with Amory Engineers. Would it be okay if I shared my screen? I can pull the plan up so you can.
Sure.
I can kind of walk
I
you
think
through
that
it.
would be a great idea.
Yeah,
Pat.
please do.
I'd like to note that for the record, Madam Hearing Officer, that we have Craig Jamison, the Recreation Department Director, and we also have Nancy Bose, the Assistant Director of the Recreation Department. Momentarily, Patrick.
Okay.
All right. Share, assign co-host. No. What do I do here? Sign, how do we, oh boy, I put you in the waiting room. Come back, Patrick.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I just disabled him, I think. Pardon me.
Hopefully you didn't cancel him, Bill.
I know. Wouldn't that be awful? That would be a first. How do we get him out of the waiting room? Oh, here he is. Admit. I figured it out momentarily. All right. He'll be back with us in a second. Now, let me find him.
Here he comes. He's back.
Yeah, let me find him and not do that again, okay?
Yeah, I got kicked off for a minute there.
I did that to you, Patrick. Now I'm trying to
You were
get you.
sorely missed, Patrick. Sorely missed.
Usually this is so easy. It's all right. All righty. Where are you? At the end here? Where are you hiding? I'm not finding you now. CP phone. No,
It's
it's
right
not.
below Eric.
I see a different color. That's what happened. Okay, mute spot. Put in sign co-host. I guess that's it. Sign co-host. That was the correct one. Yes. Terry, you didn't help me there. You should be in, Patrick.
Okay, can everybody see this plan?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the overview. Peter Igo Park, it's a just over a 17-acre parcel at the corner of Marshall Ave and Dyke Road. I'll zoom in a minute, but back in 2013, we permitted the reconstruction of the park, which included the 3 tennis courts, 3 full-size tennis courts, the 4 children under 10 tennis courts, the basketball court, the multi-use court, and the parking over here. So essentially everything within this area was permitted back in 2013. Subsequent to that, there's been additional work that's been done on the property over in this area. This is a gravel parking area that was constructed, a beach volleyball court, a couple of bocce courts here. There's a concrete pad with some fitness equipment right here, gazebo here, and horseshoe pits in this area. What we have on this site is land subject to coastal storm flowage, bordering vegetated wetlands and riverfront area. Here's the Green Harbor River over here. There's the 100-foot and the 200-foot riverfront areas. The wetlands, this is the wetland line here. These were flagged by Jason Zimmer. If you see up here, the wetland line continues, but it's in a darker gray. It's in a dark gray instead of colored. That was the historic wetland line that we used back in 2013. So I just continued it so that you see where it is on the parcel. We have our 25, 50, 75, and 100-foot buffer zones. So you can see some of this work was in the buffer zones. All of this work was in land subject to coastal storm flowage. The land subject to coastal storm flowage on the property is elevation 9. So what I did was I highlighted, this is the 9 contour right here in yellow. So anything up in here is outside of the land subject to coastal storm flowage by elevation, but the rest of the parcel is within it. So we also have, this whole wetland area out here, this green line that comes across the parcel like this is the natural heritage endangered species habitat line. So everything to the south or to the left of that is within NHESP habitat. In addition to the work that was done here, there's been a trail out to the water for years. I'm not sure when exactly it was created, but I'm guessing it was when the park was originally constructed in 1976. However, it has been widened over time. And as you can see down here, and I'll zoom in a little, As you can see
Uh,
down here, this is an aerial photo from last year, so or from 2019. You
Yeah.
can see that there's been an area cleared out here where they're storing some rowing shells and some smaller boats. There was a float and dock system out here that was permitted under a notice of intent in 2015. And if the commission remembers, I was in here in February and we secured a certificate of compliance for that float and that work there. So what we're looking to do, because the majority of this, other than what we permitted back in 2013, the majority of this work has been done unpermitted by some volunteer groups that kind of took it upon themselves to do the work. At this point, the Recreation Department as well as the DPW have gotten me involved to try to straighten this out and get it permitted so that everything is above board. And what we're proposing, we've talked with Harbor Master DeMeo, and he's been instrumental with the floats out here. The trail, there was always a footpath out there. It was probably 8 feet wide. It's about 12 feet wide now, and that's what Harbor Master DeMeo wants it to be at, so that he has emergency access to get a vehicle out here in case there's an emergency out here at the river. So what we're proposing is this large area out here. Basically what they did was they cut some Phragmites and put some wood chips down to stop the Phragmite growth. So what you'll see in here in the green hatched area, and I've reconfigured it from what's shown on the plan that I submitted, and I'll explain that in a minute. But basically, what we're going to do is pull up all the wood chips in this area and allow it to reestablish, so that that'll be returned back to the natural state. What you see, the yellow dots all along here, those are the proposed conservation markers that we're planning to install. And I believe DPW may have even started installing those. So what we have here, what I did, originally I had about 3,040 square feet of restoration. I've increased that now with this new reconfiguration. And what this does is it gives a little space here, enough room for a vehicle to turn around once it gets out here. So I'm proposing now 3,150 square feet of restoration out here, which just bumps it up a little. And it just, that entire area, while it's nice to have for the boat storage, but they really kind of took some liberties in expanding out there. So we're trying to restore that. The other area where we're trying to restore is back toward the more active, the bocce courts and so forth. So again, what you see in the green hatch here, this is buffer zone that's been disturbed. There's a set of horseshoe pits here that will be removed and relocated out in this area. There's a gazebo out here along with a stone dust path that leads to it. We're going to relocate that gazebo to outside the 100-foot buffer to the BVW. We're also going to remove that gravel fill. And then this hatched area in the buffer zone, we will restore. We're going to restore it, basically take all the fill and the amenities that have been placed out there, restore it. And we had submitted a restoration plan that Jason Zimmer had put together for the restoration and the plantings that should go in there. And I believe that's been submitted to the commission. The other addition, so 2 changes from the plan that's been submitted. Again, the line for this restoration area was kind of back like this previously, and I expanded it out to provide some more restoration area. The other is, it's outside the buffer zone, right adjacent to the gravel parking lot. There's going to be, I'm listing it as a 10 by 15 shelter, but I believe it's going to be less than that. But I didn't want to put something on the plan that would be smaller than what they actually put out there. But the Harbor Master and the Recreation Department have received a grant and purchased some basically all-terrain handicapped chairs so that people can park here, use those chairs and get out to the water's edge. So that little shelter is going to be just to keep those under, out of the weather and under a roof. So that's the other amenity that I forgot to put on the original plan, but it's on this one. And again, the conservation markers, we're planning the roughly 50-foot interval, and we are putting them around the entire cleared area out here. Again, all the way down along the trail. There is an existing gate out in this area that will remain locked, so that the only vehicles that are allowed out there are the emergency vehicles, and then an occasional DPW vehicle if they have to get out there from maintenance to the float. But for the most part, it's just the harbor master's vehicle that would be getting out there in the event of an emergency. So that there will be no other vehicular access to this trail. The trail right now is, they have put wood chips on the trail previously. They're mostly degraded by now, but there's no intention to use anything other than those wood chips because this is wetland. So like I said, there was a trail there. It's believed it was probably established back around 1976 when the park was created. And it's been obviously widened because it wasn't, you can look at some old aerial photographs and see that there was a trail in that area, but it certainly wasn't as wide as it is at this point in time. And the width of it, we're hoping to keep for that emergency access out to those floats. The plan is up in this area at the trailhead is to store the smaller boats that can be easily carried down to the floats, and then some of these longer ones could be stored, right along the edge of the trail, so that the larger ones they won't have to carry that far, but they'd be along the trail and not in a huge area of clearing like they've done at this location. Trying to think. I did include, and I'm not sure if you want me to go through it, but I did include a pretty substantial impervious or coverage table. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, I'll actually bring it up, but this is what we have for the coverage table on this property. Like I said, it's just over 17 acres. About 25% of it's in the riverfront. About 95% of it is subject to coastal storm flowage. Actually, that's the mapped coastal storm flowage, but if you go by the base flood elevation, only about 83% of it is within there. About 64% is in priority habitat. We permitted about 12% under that RDA in 2013. So the total disturbance right now on the parcel, including all the work that's been done since then, is about 17.35% of the parcel. This is what was unpermitted, about 5% of the parcel. Almost an acre of unpermitted work since 2013, and that's mostly the parking area in the beach volleyball court, that area, that corner of the parcel. Then some of the work in the riverfront area, this is the percentages. This is the impervious coverage in the work subject to coastal storm flowage. This is the impervious portion of it. The gazebo, again, we're going to move out of that buffer. These are the percentages in those various buffers. And I did not update this for the restoration, but that's going to be roughly another 100 square feet of restoration in the riverfront area down by the floats. And go back to the plan. I think that covers.
That's pretty much a comprehensive overview, Mr. Brannan. Bill, do you have comments?
No, I would say that I've been working on this for a long time. It's good to see it come to fruition. It's very important to lock this down and dogleg the activities. I think Patrick's done a fabulous job here. We're facing some comments from the DEP. He's provided us comments back within, it's within probably the range of the Conservation Commission to make decisions on. We do have comments we might want to either factor in from Natural Heritage. They haven't given us a letter yet. They're not actually operating out of their offices, Madam Hearing Officer, so it makes it difficult for them to respond. A way we could deal with this is to condition that all work is going to have to be compliant with any comments that they might have, which may be no adverse effect and exempt from MISA, or they may be specific details. So in other words, this isn't after the fact, it's helping to bring it all together and coalesce it. Also, lastly, I'd like to mention that Tom Reynolds joined us shortly at around the time that Craig and Nancy did. I just didn't see him because it said Tom's iPad. So he's with us also.
Thank you. Other commissioners, do you have comments?
Yes, Commissioner Craig, may I make a quick comment?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a challenging project because it was after the fact in the area where it is. I do want to make note the dock is a currently permitted dock by the harbor master, and that is an ADA compliant, and it needs an annual permit, and it has already received its annual permit. Just to go over it quickly, I think, and Patrick, help me out if I'm missing something. We're going to construct a small shed for ADA access to the ADA dock. We're going to have a pathway that's 12 feet wide for emergency vehicle access down to the end of the pathway, in case, God forbid, anything ever happens. We're having over 3,000 square feet to be restored at the boat ramp. The gazebo is going to be moved out of the wetlands, and we're going to remove the stone dust. The horseshoe pit is going to be relocated out. And we're going to have a restoration by the gazebo with plantings of over 1,700 square feet. And we're also requiring 38 conservation markers outlining permanently exactly where our jurisdiction is and no further movement. The only comment that I'd like to make, Commissioner Hanford, is that it's clearly stated in the orders of conditions that at the bottom, for the emergency vehicle turnaround, there shall never be equipment stored in the emergency vehicle turnaround. The last thing we'd ever want is to have, 5 years from now, having all sorts of ramps and boats and racks down there and the vehicle couldn't turn around. Those are my only comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Any members of the public?
If I may, hearing officer, this is Joe Pasevich, 25 Wilson Road.
Go ahead, Mr. Pasevich.
Thank you. Maybe this is more of a curiosity thing, but could the consultants, do they have any opinion on that swale that appears to be located above the 12-foot wide wood chip path? Is that an active swale? You see the line?
Yeah, so I believe that was an old mosquito ditch.
Okay.
When the river was tidal, but as you know, the dike, with the tide gates there, the river's not tidal anymore. They do let some water in, but only up to a certain level. So there is some water in that, but it's not basically, if this river was still tidal, this would all be salt marsh and not just a bordering vegetated wetland. But because it's not tidal anymore, this is just a bordering vegetated wetland and not salt marsh.
Okay, because where I'm going with this, if I may, officer, is are there any issues related to erosion? I know that the courts are on an elevated plateau and that there has been work on the slopes around those, around that plateau. Are there any problems with erosion, any sedimentation occurring into those drainage features?
I can answer that if.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Brett.
so all of the area up around the courts, there's nice grass established all around here. There's no erosion over here whatsoever. This area right now, there's wood chips that have been piled here. But this area has been pretty much actively being worked while they've been doing all the work down around the parking area and so forth. There's no erosion per se because it's all wood chips right now. But when I've walked it, I haven't seen any evidence of erosion. And even though this footpath is here, the footpath is vegetated. It's grass and different vegetation growing on it. It's not like it's a bare gravel or dirt footpath. It's all well vegetated and not there's no active erosion out there.
I see. Well, thank you very much. I was just concerned about sediments getting into the river.
Yep.
If you had looked at that issue, it looks like you have. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I would make a motion. Bill, how do we want to do the natural heritage here that we do not have a letter from yet? What is the best way? Can that be in the orders of conditions or?
I think so. With the COVID situation, what we've been experiencing is that they've been responding rather late, more than 30 days. So giving them 30 days, we can build in the orders of conditions. The work has already taken place. And now what we're doing is after the fact activity. So what we want to do is we want to maintain this in permanent capacity. So we want to catch it, that they provide us with a letter as soon as it's available. We want to also incorporate it into any new construction, and then post-construction, we want to incorporate it. That way it's layered in. I have a feeling it's a no adverse take, but we can't take that risk. So that's one thing I would suggest. I think the harbor master wanting to get the vehicles down there introduces a comment that I'd like to just add in. There probably are some appropriate town official or representative vehicles. Okay, this isn't going to be, the Good Humor truck or anything like that. This is going to be a water department. This is going to be a DPW vehicle. Concom as a vehicle, they get down there, or dedicate staff who are working with or through either as volunteers or consultants to get down there. It's just very exclusive, limited. Further, the thought was to maintain the pathway to be permanently pervious with natural materials. We don't want this thing turned into stone dust. We don't want this thing turned into paved materials. So I thought we should try to incorporate those in as well with the construction and the ongoing activities. There is also a great restoration plan, which we need to incorporate, and we will incorporate in a general information, item 8, supplemental information. So the plan provided by Jason Zimmer, March 31, 2021, will be captured in that. We want to get that started as soon as possible. I was proposing originally with this, because it's after the fact, D0, within 30 days of issuance of the orders, register both sets of conditions, state and town, with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, and post a Mass DEP sign. Post the 38 permanent conservation markers as per the plan, approved Plan A, general information, item 8. Provide the, implement the mitigation plan. Let me fix that. Implement the mitigation plan. Starting this planting season. And then coordinate a pre-construction site meeting with the conservation administrator. Eric, I've got this one, okay? Before commencing any new work activity defined as filling, altering, removing, or dredging. D1, it says before commencing the proposed work. I'll just say D1, the proposed work, all right? Follow all pertinent Marshfield bylaws. Obtain all subsequent permits. Ensure erosion control is in place and do not use hay. Patrick, did you have erosion control down? I don't think so, right? Because we're already done the work.
Yeah, I don't have any shown on here.
Well,
there's no active erosion. There's no bare soil out there.
It's wet soils. There's a very good capture rate in there. The Phragmites will capture it and net it and reuse it, and the soft wash will also capture it and reuse it. So and then the wood chips. I don't think we need erosion control, so I'm going to strike it. Okay. The applicant shall observe 310 CMR 10.05. Sequencing of the work, the restoration of the boat launch area shall commence in the spring 2021, and any mitigation to offset 310 CMR 10.554B requirements shall commence in the spring of 2021 planning season. During the construction of proposed work, ensure best management practice, current building codes are followed. Ensure the footprint of the subsurface remains open and use pervious coverage only. Post-construction of the proposed work, ongoing conditions at the conclusion of the work. We got to get rid of that one. It's a standard issue one. Ensure the footprint of the subsurface remains open and use pervious coverage only. This condition remains in perpetuity. And then I'm going to have follow. Okay, the following. All right. In perpetuity. And there'll be no vehicles except for town official or representative vehicles or their equivalent. We will have pervious materials for the path that will be wood chips, naturally degrading or equivalent. And I think I've got it. I think that's about it. Have I failed or have I done okay?
Commissioner Craig, can I just pop in for a sec?
Sure.
Bill, I want to have in orders of conditions that turnaround is kept open, please.
Okay, I'll work that in. Keep the turnaround opened as per approved plans. Okay, in A, general information, item 8, which would be the Patrick Learning Plan. Okay, item 8, got it. All right.
Okay.
I guess Tom or Craig, do you have anything more to add?
Craig, I have another quick question here. Do the plan that was put in front of us, Patrick, this evening is the final plan, and we have that final plan?
I'll email it right over to Bill right now.
So I want a condition that we have that plan by a date certain, please.
You will have it in 10 minutes.
Perfect. So you can put whatever date you want down, Bill.
It's 4/6. It's revised. I'll show you.
Because typically we don't do this.
It's rare and unusual.
Correct.
It's right here.
But it's so close to what we were before, I feel okay with it. Commissioner Craig, do you?
Yes, the only, there's the storage for the motorized chairs to get to the water, and I'm comfortable with anything that is changed here. I think it's minor.
Thank you, Commissioner Craig.
All right. So I move that we close this and issue the orders of conditions as specified by Mr. Grafton. May I have a second?
Art Loggy, second.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Bert,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
and Chairman Jim.
Jim Kilhern, yes.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick, I appreciate all your help on this, Patrick.
Patrick, very nice job. Tom and Craig, exceptional. Nancy, nice job working together and coalescing this. Let's keep it tight for a long time.
I just want to say thank you to everybody and look forward to getting everything in order down there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate everything.
Together we're stronger. Adios.
All right, so we've done that. We're moving on to the next, which is Prince Circle. On here. I have 41 Prince. There it is. Found it. Compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, the Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. Public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, April 6, 2021 by Zoom. Consider notice of intent filed by 10 South Street. And the hearing officer is Vice Chair Burt.
I'm fine with that, Jim, but what happened to
Did I
41?
miss one?
Yep. It's 41 Prince Circle up next.
Oh, I have that right here too. Did I? Where is my? All right, so I don't have.
You don't have a legal ad for that one because it's continued.
It's continued.
All right, so I don't need the legal ad. Don't I need to read it in?
Negative on this one. They're jumping all over the place on us. We've got like 6 new ones and 6 that are, in all different states.
So I thought, just a point of order, I thought if we had it on the agenda, we opened, I read and continued, but I don't.
Not on continued ones, no. It continued. It continued from the prior hearing or a date certain.
Okay, so we're just gonna do 41 Prince Circle, and the hearing officer is Craig.
Okay. And do I need to reconfirm taxes, abutters and fees?
No, you're good on that. We've done that the last time.
Okay.
We covered it all back in February.
Okay, and I believe Mr. Zimmer is here to present for the applicant.
Yes, thank you. For the record, John Zimmer with South River Environmental. This one we opened up back in March, and it was a single-family residence that's looking to redo their septic system, add on a garage, and a small addition and a deck. And we continued the hearing because the property is located within a natural heritage priority habitat, and we had not heard back from them yet. I had sent them a copy of the notice of intent, but we had not heard back within that 30 days. So we continued for that, as well as we're proposing conservation markers at the edge of the wetland and then wrapping kind of up and around the side of the property. And the commission requested that we move those markers into the lawn a little bit further to create a little bit more buffer between the lawn area and the wetland. And there's also an existing kennel that was located within the 25, and the commission requested that we move that outside of the 25. So we made those plan modifications, relocated the markers 5 to 10 feet back, and then put a note on the plan that the kennel will be relocated outside of the 25. And we also did hear back from Natural Heritage, and they did not have any issues with the project. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We can go over any other questions that the commission may have.
Thank you. Bill, do you have comments?
Yeah, let's see. So it's true, Natural Heritage did respond and hit us in about 6 weeks, which is what I was saying on the other one. And there were no adverse effects, and they found MESA to be exempt for the project, or appeared to be. I think that when we look at the impervious table, the elimination of the 213% that we saw last time makes us think maybe it's not so large, but when you look at the amount of the impervious that's being expanded, it goes from like 1,700 to like 3,600. And then that's an add. So the total is about 5,300 square feet of impervious. And we still have that dog kennel down inside the 25. And there are a number of markers, conservation markers down gradient in the 25 that are in the neighborhood of the dog kennel. So it's my opinion that the dog kennel should move up, and we should have a specific location on a finalized plan that we will receive by 12 noon, Friday the 16th, or we can continue, that's what I'm looking at. So we don't have a permanent location where that's going to move to, and we're going to need to make that specific, like do it in 90 days or something like that. It's a big move. We want them to have it, but there's been a lot of cutting, so it's got to stop.
Thank you. Are there comments or questions from commissioners? I agree with Bill. I would like to see the permanent location of the kennel. It's a fairly large structure. I would like to see that on the plan. I would like to see the conservation posts to the left of the kennel up on the 25. And the paved drive, is the entirety of that included in the impervious figures?
It is, and a significant portion of that is located outside of the commission's jurisdiction.
Okay, and I assume you've also deducted the concrete that's going to be removed?
Yes.
Oh, okay. There are no sort of patios or walkways on here. You know, going forward, that could be another shift in the impervious. I don't know if they have plans for that, but if there is going to be some more necessity for accessing, walking around and such, that should be noted.
Right. As far as I know, there are no plans for that right now. If they did decide to do, you know, any future activities, hardscape type walkways or things, we would have to come back to the commission, you know, with at least an RDA.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have anything?
Madam Hearing Officer, could I just augment your comments, just to augment that? You said 2 markers to the left of the dog kennel. There's another one hidden slightly to the right. So I had 3 in mind.
Oh,
I'd like to see personally, and I can only suggest, but you could decide. I would think that one would want to come out to the 25 also, so we get a nice protection on the 25 and they don't cut anymore inside the 25.
Thank you. I had missed that one. Thank you, Mr. Grafton. Yeah, so that would be moving 3 conservation posts onto the 25. Is anyone here from the public that would like to comment? Okay, hearing nothing. I would like to propose orders of conditions. Do you want to read those, Bill?
Sure. Is there any other input from the commissioners before I start doing that? Just last stuff, anything? Okay. So, Stan, Julie, I heard a voice.
No.
Okay. So before commencing the proposed work, John, you know this, but so the owners too, register post sets of orders state and town, Plymouth County Register of Deeds, and provide evidence to the Conservation Office, post the Mass DEP sign, follow all pertinent Marshfield bylaws, obtain all subsequent permits, ensure erosion control is in place, and do not use hay. Applicant shall observe 310 CMR 10.05 requirements. Move the dog kennel to the location approved by the Conservation Commission for the April 6, 2021 Marshfield Conservation Commission public meeting. So what I heard was this is going to be outside the 25, John, and nobody cares where it goes outside the 25. So we need a new plan with it outside the 25, and then it needs to get physically moved before they start the work. So it's a D1 special condition. In other words, a form of sequencing. All right. So post 8, Marshfield conservation markers with red and white Marshfield wetland resource no disturb and 4x4 rot resistant pressure treated cedar equivalent post is depicted on the final approved plans referenced in A, general information item 8, which we're going to get on Friday, right?
Correct.
The conservation markers and posts are remain in perpetuity. Damaged or decayed conservation posts and markers shall be replaced. Mowing vegetative management is prohibited beyond the conservation markers. The condition remains in perpetuity. Coordinate pre-construction site meeting with the conservation administrator, or this is tricky, Eric, but I'm up to you on it. You're up for it. During construction of proposed work, ensure best management practices and current building codes are followed. Ensure the footprint of the subsurface remains open or use pervious coverage only. D3, post-construction of proposed work, ongoing conditions, conclusion of the work in the plan of record, and with approval of the conservation minister, any erosion control devices shall be removed. Conservation administrator is to be contacted to perform a site visit post removal. Ensure the footprint of the subsurface remains open or use pervious coverage only. This condition remains in perpetuity. And I think that would resolve a lot of this. No plantings, no 4 years of monitoring, none of that stuff, you know. Move a dog kennel, move the posts, and quit cutting downgrading from the 25. That's as good as it gets.
Are we going to see where the dog kennel goes on the final plan?
Yeah, it's got to be outside the 25.
Okay.
If it's not, and there's a fight, then, I think that what I'll do is this, to make it tight, is it shall be no closer than the 25-foot setback. And then I'll end that. Move the dog kennel, no, to the location approved by the Conservation Commission, no closer. Okay. Then the 25-foot setback. Okay, closest portion of the structure, point of the structure. So this means any corner, any edge, any line, any of it, that's the closest point. It's 25 minimum. And then the rest of it is out of there.
Thank you, Bill. So I would move that we close this and issue the orders of conditions just specified by Mr. Grafton. Do I have a second?
Second, Susan.
Okay. Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Chairman Jim,
Joe Coyne, yes.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you, John. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
I'll make a
Good
note
night.
now. It's 7:52, and now I can come to you, right? Next one up is 10 South, right?
Right, you have to read that one.
I'll read this in compliance with regulations, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 4, the Wetlands Protection Act, Code of the Town of Marshfield, 294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held with the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, April 6, 2021, 6:30 p.m. by Zoom to consider notice of 10 filed by 10 South Street. The hearing officer is Vice Chair Burke.
Okay, and Bill, can you confirm taxes are paid, abutters are notified, and we have a DEP number?
Yes, we have taxes paid 3/25/2021. The abutters were notified on 3/31/2021. We got a DEP number on 3/30/2021. The fee was paid on 3/12/21, and it was published 3/31/2021. You're all set, Mr. Hearing Officer.
Okay, thank you. I believe I see Mr. McGovern. Are you here to present?
You do, and I am. And if Bill will allow me to share, I'll put a picture of the house up and be very brief.
I will do it, Terry, because I know not only I know how to do it now that I made errors, or here to have you coach me through. Are you William McGovern on this thing?
Yes.
God, let's see. Where are you? McGovern William, it says. That has got me tricked. Okay, doesn't say Terry, it says that. Assigned co-host. And it says yes, away you go. I did it. There you go.
Okay, hopefully everybody can see the picture of the house at 10 South Street. And to be very brief and direct about this, the Cutters have recently moved back here from Washington State. This house sits behind the sub tower in Brant Rock on South Street, and they wish to elevate it and put it up on concrete piers. I actually have two pictures of the house. This is the kind of the front view, and then the rear view.
Terry, sorry, I don't have a view.
We're not seeing it.
I know you.
Let me just check. Hold on. Okay.
There you go.
There we are. Okay. It didn't, I clicked in too quick before Bill allowed me. Okay, so this is the house at 10 South Street. And very simply, they wish to elevate it straight up approximately 7 feet, place it on concrete piers, leave the area beneath open for parking purposes. That area will remain stone or gravel. That small second story addition that you see will be enclosed below, not expand the footprint so that they can reconfigure that entry slightly. And they will add a landing to the deck area. The deck will be reconstructed. The purpose is twofold: to get it up out of the flood zone and to alleviate some parking issues by allowing parking underneath. The existing utility connections will be restored and placed on the side of the piers away from flood flow. This will actually result in an increase in pervious area because now there'll be basically open area underneath. The most they might put up is some trellis maybe for a little bit of privacy from the beach side, but that's it. It's a straight up elevation onto concrete piers to comply with the flood requirements, and no other disturbance of the area and placing down stone once it's done.
Thank you, Terry. Bill, your comments?
Yeah. So, Terry, I was looking at the plan, and the plan references the 2016 FEMA, but it calls out AO flood zone. Let me just get it in front of me. I'm going off my notes. So I tried to figure that out. And I think what happened is you showed us here the July 6, 2020, which actually is almost entirely an AO depth 3 feet, but two small sections of the AE flood zone hit the house, okay? So after talking to the building commissioner, he suggests the following, that we should rely on the professional land surveyor or professional registered professional engineers calculation of the floodplain on that. So we're gonna need that updated, okay? Second, the house is actually in Barrier Beach Coastal Dune. The building matrix under, I think it's other substantial improvement like elevating, may require open pilings, but the new 505 chapter 505 section on performance standards for foundations requires that coastal dune Barrier Beach be on open pilings. So we've got to figure that out. I'm just trying to see what I've got it, which is structures, foundation requirements, 505-307.275. If I go there and I'm looking at it, I shall read it because it's needed. So that section, foundation requirements, substantially renovated or reconstructed structures on any Barrier Beach coastal dune, which applies. Buffer to coastal beach, or buffer to salt marsh, no, are required to be constructed on an open pile foundation. So I would say that this is at the discretionary authority of the commission, that if they're elevating this house, is that substantially renovated or reconstructed? We were told by town council that all open filings are under the approved Marshfield Wetlands, Chapter 505 Marshfield Wetlands Protection Regulations approved on March 18th. So the commission has to decide if this is substantially reconstructed or renovated if they're elevating. So that's something you have to calculate. I thought I had some other notes, but they might not have been.
Bill, can I interject?
I think
while you're looking?
I think you pretty well covered it, Bill, from your notes. Terry,
right.
Within your appendix on the application, you show the locus that it is in Barrier Beach. So would you acknowledge that it is Barrier Beach?
It's in a Barrier Beach. However, in the, if you're discussing wood pilings, that usually implies that you have a place to move the house to, as opposed to elevating it straight up. This house is not being substantially torn down and reconstructed in the same footprint as some others in that area. It's merely being lifted straight up with a small entry area re-enclosed. So where you don't have the opportunity to move this house somewhere, or it's not being basically reconstructed in the same footprint as we have seen with others, you are going to be on an open concrete pier system, which is structurally viable and allows flood water to pass underneath.
Would those concrete piers have footings?
Yes, they do. And they're reinforced.
Okay, in your application, you also, it was an either or, piers or helical
Yeah,
pile.
and the helical
And helical-
piles aren't going to be viable in that location. So you would have essentially a pier system, which I'll reshare briefly.
Again, we haven't seen it up, here we go.
Yeah, you'll have a concrete pier, a reinforced concrete pier system with rebar in it. And there are other houses in the area on Middle Street. I can share pictures of those, but there's some 3 or 4 houses right behind the Jetty restaurant. There's also several along Foster Ave that were elevated in a similar manner, where basically the existing house, in fact, a couple at Foster Ave are 216 and 218, and those occurred after the no-name storm, where there was not an opportunity to necessarily move the house in any direction to drive wood pilings. You don't have that opportunity to do that here. The house is going straight up. These will be poured underneath. That structural concrete pier, again, will be as good or better than any wood piling in that location. It will sit on a footing. It will have rebar reinforcement. And the important thing is, from a barrier beach or a dune perspective, it allows wind, water, wave action, sediment, sand to pass underneath freely, which the existing house doesn't do now. So there's no real difference between what this allows nature to do than a wood piling.
Please explain why the helical piles are not an option.
Can't bore into that area. You're gonna have to dig down and place the concrete footing and the concrete piers.
Okay, so one of the things, Bert, that I had seen.
Hang on, Bill. Just, Terry, I thought that that was one of the advantages of the helical piles, is that you could drive them under a house.
The contractor looked at it and determined that that can't be done in that location.
At this point, I'd like to open it up to, well, Bill, did you have a short comment or?
Yeah, I did. I just, when I walked through, Bert, the vents, some of them were closed off. We've got to make sure that doesn't happen again.
The house is going up, Bill, so I'm not concerned. I'm sorry, but I don't think that's an issue right now.
Well, they block them off if it happens. So I think that what happened before was the openings would be lattice or something open. We've got a COC coming. It's got wood boards to allow water to pass through.
Okay.
It's pretty important the commission dial that in also.
No, when we get to that,
Plan, Bill.
when we get to that, that absolutely would need to be specified. But as far as how to elevate this house, so that's one contractor, Terry. Have you sought alternatives or?
Not at this point, no.
Because,
we do make note on our plan that area beneath, because we've done this before all over the South Shore. We've made a note on our plan that area beneath that is to remain open and not be enclosed. So you won't have any enclosed storage or any area in there that's boarded in with plywood. That area is to remain open. And it's going to be elevated enough so that you can park a car underneath it. So not quite sure where Bill's coming from with flood vents, because there won't be vents. This will be wide open.
Understood. Now, as far as the elevation, I'm a little confused on that, because you got the VE right in front of it that's an 18, and then you've got the 12 that's partially on the property, and then this is on the AO. So what is the elevation requirement there?
You're in an AO. You have an elevation 12 nearby. We've actually proposed the bottom of the beam at 17 and the finished floor to be at 19. So we'd actually be above slightly above that VE zone that's adjacent, but not touching us.
What about the AO, Terry, is what he's getting at? What's the
Well,
requirement?
the AO is the,
Your AO is your depth between 1 and 3 feet off the ground. Your ground elevations, as shown on the plan, range from roughly 8.0 at one corner of the house to about 9 at the other side. So there's about a foot difference in grade going across. So with depths between 1 and 3 feet, that would put your depth of flooding between elevation 11 and 12. We're proposing to be 5 feet above that. I think that more than meets the code.
yeah, I'm clear on that. At this point, I'd like to open it up to the other commissioners for comments about the possibility of concrete piers. This is, we've just gone through a revision of our rules, and this is already a deviation.
Vice Chair Burt, make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Terry, maybe you can help me understand here. So, Bill, do we have anything besides just this?
We have his narrative and we have his NOI.
Yeah,
That's what
I mean, the drawings, I mean, he just showed me footings proposed in the barrier beach. The door, that's all I've got, unless I'm missing something.
I don't think we
packet.
received, a fabrication set or anything like that from Rockwood or anybody. It's just a straight plan sheet here. I think they thought this was a foundation elevation. That's it.
So I just want to confirm that I wasn't missing something, that's all. Because Terry showed a cross-section of the cement, they call it cement pilings, Terry?
Yes,
Yeah.
concrete piers.
Concrete pier. Concrete piers is probably the right word. So I'd like to see that definitely on the plan. I know that we have pavers here, and it's listed in the impervious coverage, 212 feet of pavers, and it says considered pervious. I don't know what that means. And we really like to see cross sections of the substrate so that we know it is going to be pervious. So I'm sure that's easy to add. I think the thing we're going to have to struggle with here.
I think we can solve that pretty easily, Jim. I think the major question is this concrete pier.
Yeah, that's what I was just going, but we still need cross sections. We're not getting cross sections, and people calling them permeable, and it ends up not being permeable, Bert. That's why I wanted to bring that up. And yes, so the thing we're going to struggle with, right, is the concrete with footings versus wooden pilings. Right now, we got a house. And if the engineers tell us that it's impossible, and we need to confirm that once again, to put pilings there or helicals, the only option for the individual to be able to live there would be to go up the way that Terry's suggesting. To me, it seems like we're still getting a plus. We're not getting everything we want, but I think the goal of the 505 were to make it permeable underneath there and get rid of these foundations of the zone. So I'd like to just see some more. I couldn't comment any more on it than that, but.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Jim. Other commissioners, is there general agreement on this?
I have a comment, Bert, if that's all right.
Yep. Go ahead. Art.
Yeah, so did the engineers, I didn't hear that the engineers said that this couldn't be done. I heard that the builder said it couldn't be done. And so I'd wonder why, if they give an explanation, but I'd prefer if the engineers would say what can or can't be done, not the builder.
Yeah. Well, Terry, you're the engineer, but I assume you've spoken to consultants regarding the helical piles?
We did. It was determined that those weren't the best option in that location, but we can confirm that for you. I can tell you that you can't use wood pilings there because that is the presumption that you have a place to move this house over to.
No, I understand that. That's
Good.
not part of the discussion.
Okay.
It's the possibility of the helical piles. If you could give us something on that. And then further to that, I think as Jim and Bill both commented, we need more details as far as what else there would be here. As far as, you're showing stairs. Is there going to be a landing at the bottom of the stairs? You're kind of ambiguous about the pervious pavers that are already in place. We don't really know what we have there. It sounds like they may go away. I think you need to firm up your details on this.
Yeah, well, the pavers were, and that's something we'll pick up, but the pavers were proposed to stay. Yes, there would be a landing at the bottom. The pavers are just paving stones. They're just a little patio area, an existing patio area. I'm not sure if it shows up in my picture or not, but that's proposed to remain.
Yeah, I think the concern is what they're laid in. If they're in concrete or something like that, then they're not pervious.
Yeah, no,
It's nested in concrete, Terry. That's why we're asking the questions. And so perceived to be pervious, okay, that's not really cutting it. That's what they're saying. I'm just being level with you.
Okay, so it sounds like we've got a couple of questions that we can come back with.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bert.
I would like to hear if any other commissioners want to weigh in on this.
Be hopeful.
I'm just curious, Bert, if Terry, do you know if this is being done by a FEMA grant?
FMA grant?
That I don't know, to be honest with you. I believe it's being done privately.
Okay.
The reason he asked that is because if it does, it gets extremely complicated. We've had two of these.
Yeah.
And they've stated from the plan that the FEMA FMA had approved, and it caused headaches.
I'm
So it's better-
about 90% sure it's private, but I'll confirm that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, I don't hear anything further from the commissioners. From my standpoint, Terry, I would want you to continue and come back with a plan that shows everything as far as that pad that you would need at the bottom of the stairs. Information from I'm not sure who it would be, but an engineer commenting that the helical piles is not an option, that the concrete piers is the only option in this particular place. And then delineate, see, I guess you show the pavers here, but you need to show what's under the pavers, what's the basis for it, and similar to what you've done in the past.
Terry, just to make it easier for your engineer, I just show them the Article 7 structures 505-3072 and say, the helical piles, can they be used and meet this standard here? Because it's a project specific performance standard. Put it on them,
Well, I think what Terry's saying is that they can't, I'll let Terry speak for himself. I'm sorry.
No, we'll get some information on that to the commission.
Vice Chair Burt?
So
the crux of this matter is the new 505s, there is an improvement here. We're trying to figure out how we're going to move forward all these types of projects, right? And I believe we should try to do it the least minimal possible. Footings are not really great, but if they're all we can do, then it's still a net plus. It's probably in an order of pilings, helical screws, and then these concrete. Get the term from pilings, I'll call them.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Jim, and I think elevating houses in this neighborhood is it's something we'd like to encourage, not.
And yes, and this as the ocean comes, we're going to be seeing a lot of these in this area, so we might as well figure it out right now for our 505s. So I would like to see compelling reason why helical screws could not be put in from an engineering perspective, following up on Arthur's, because we're kind of figuring out a way forward on our new 505s here on what we're allowing first, second, and third, but still allow the person to be able to enjoy their home. I hate to say we might need to have a third party to understand the soils, but I'm sure Terry will be able to come back with satisfactory information for the commission on this. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah, at this point, I would leave it up to Terry to come back with further information. And then we still have to make a decision based on that. Bill, is there anything further you see we need here?
No, the commissioners have hashed it out. I've heard from about 5 out of 6 or so. So it's always good on new regulations if they all chime in. So we'll do that going forward.
I do have one question that either Bill or Terry may know. The adjacent land owned by the town of Marshfield, what entity of the town of Marshfield is it? It's not Concom land, apparently.
I think it might be recreation. I'll take a look. That one by the tower, I believe, is recreation. Give me a sec.
But that's just a general question.
Okay.
I'd like to propose that we continue this hearing. Terry, do you have a date when you'd be prepared to come back?
We can come back on the 20th. Did you want to check and see if the public had any comments first, Bert? Just in case.
I would. I'm sorry. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to comment on this project? I hear none. I'd like to make a motion to the commission to continue this hearing till April 2nd. Have I got a second?
Craig Hannafin, second.
Second by Craig Bill. Roll call vote. Craig?
Bert, you said April 2nd. Is that what you said?
April 20th. I'm sorry, I misspoke. April 20th, correct?
That
Is the
is
next
correct.
hearing? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and roll call vote. Craig?
Wait, Craig, are you second?
Hannafin, yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Susan?
Susan Karen, yes.
Art?
Carlotti, yes.
Rick?
Rick Carberry, yes.
Jim?
Joe Coyne, yes.
And Bert O'Donnell, yes. Unanimous, Bill.
Okay,
So
got it.
continued until April 20th. Thank you, Terry.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Good evening.
Yeah, Jerry.
To your question, Bert, is it's unknown. I've heard recreation from somebody, a town official, but I don't have confirmation.
They probably ought to let that grass grow there, right?
We should give them a de minimis and let them put American beach grass up, you know?
Okay, so we're moving on to the next one, which is 13 Brewster. I assume, Bill, that I need to read this one in. Correct? And then we're going to continue it. All right, so
Bill's muted.
yeah, we'll just do that. So I'll read it in. I think this is the first time 13's come up. And then it's, so they've had a request for continuance in compliance with the regulation of Massachusetts General Laws 131, Section 4 of the Wetlands Protection Act, the Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetland Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, April 6, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom to consider notice of intent filed by 13 Brewster Road. And we might as well just take care of that right now here. We have had from the applicant's attorney, written request for a continuance. So I'd like to make a motion that we vote to continue to 4/2021 as per the applicant's attorney's written request. Look for a second.
Second, Bert O'Donnell.
Roll call vote. Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Mr. Rick.
Rick Carberry, yes.
Mr. Art.
Art Loggy, yes.
Ms. Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. Okay, so we have continued that. So 13 Brewster. Next up is 77.
Who continued? Was that Bert? I mean, seconded, was that Bert?
Yes, Bill.
Thanks, Bert.
77 Cherry. Find my notes on that if I can. Way too many notes here. Okay, this is SE 422914. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws 131, Section 4 of the Wetland Protection Act, the Code of Town of Marshfield 294, Wetlands Protection public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, April 6, 2021, 6:30 p.m. by Zoom to consider a notice of intent filed by 77 Cherry Street, Marshfield, Mass. The hearing officer is, who took over for Joe in this one, Bill?
I did. Craig Hennepin.
Commissioner Craig will be the hearing officer.
Yeah, Craig took over, sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Craig.
Okay, Bill, can you confirm taxes, fees, and abutters are notified?
Momentarily, Madam Hearing Officer, let me find Gibbs. Okay. Shoot.
What's your language, Bill, please?
Okay. She's all right, so 7 Cherry, we've got taxes on 3/25/21, butters 3/31, file 3/26/21, fees on 3/16/21, published on 3/31/21.
Thank you. So this is a raise and rebuild in the resource area AE 12 and buffer zone, salt marsh and isolated vegetated wetland. And someone is here to present from Stenbeck and Taylor. I think, Rick, are you there?
Yes, I am, Craig. This is Rick Savant from Stenbeck and Taylor. That is absolutely correct. We have an existing single-family home located at 77 Cherry Street, which is just northeast of the town boat launch. The lot is located within an AE 12 flood zone, and it's within the buffer zones of 2 salt marsh resource areas and that isolated area in the back you mentioned. Essentially, the cottage that's there is an older home that's in pretty tough condition. The owners are interested in demolishing that existing home and reconstructing a new home in a different position on the lot. They'd like to build a flood compliant house on that property. The placement of the house, as you can see on the plan, it's a little bit more centered on the lot. It does a couple of things. It complies with the zoning setbacks, which the existing house doesn't. And I'll back up a little bit. You can see the position of that existing home. It's jammed against the back of the lot. It's very close to the resource areas there. Closest point's about 9 feet off the southerly side of the house. So it's very close there, and it's barely on the property. So the relocation is to comply with the zoning setbacks, 15-foot sideline requirement, and a 15-foot street also. And of course, it'll increase the distance that the house is from the resource area. The type of structure that the foundation that this is proposed at is a concrete foundation. So the building will be elevated on foundation walls. There are 6 flood vents proposed in the foundation walls of the structure, which is more than enough for that size, for 1,080 square feet. This is certainly showing an increase of 942 square feet in impervious area because the existing house is only 710 square feet in size. So it's kind of a tough little lot, as you've probably taken a look at. There's a pocket to the right and a larger wetland area that wraps around the back and the side. By positioning it on the lot the way it is, it does increase the wetland setback of 9 feet up to 14.6. There will not be any habitable space below the finished floor. The elevation of the finished floor is 13.1, which is base elevation of 12 plus a foot and a little change there for comfort, 13.1. and there is a slab proposed underneath it at elevation 7.5. So you take a foot out for the floor framing and so forth, you wind up with 4.6 feet of headspace underneath there, which certainly wouldn't be habitable. So that's essentially what we're hoping to do, and I'll answer any questions you might have. I'll do my best.
Thank you. Bill, your comments?
Right, so this area has been flagged heavily by others. Jay Wenham flagged this property for some other people. Brad Holmes was flagging the property across the street. So we know the area pretty well. It's primarily Phragmites. There is an isolated vegetated wetland. It's also been flagged both by Brooke Monroe and Jay Wenham. They're cutting Phragmites right up to the house. So the question is, where is the wetland line really? The flags that are located, I gotta call them out. I think I could call Eric and I looked at them, and I didn't write the notes on this here. Let me look at the plan real quick. The flags WF1 through 6, there's cutting going on over there. So the question is, do you want the wetland line where they're showing it, or do you want the wetland line where they cut from? The distances to the existing house are 9.7 and 9 feet currently. The new house will be 14.6 and 15.6 from, that's wrong. This is 15.5 from the wetlands. So it's moving away. The house and the structure will be moving away, but there's a lot of sensitive habitat up here. And so I think a rich coverage of conservation markers would be a really good idea up here. They've showed a flagrant lack of concern right before the commission arrived to cut the Phragmites. So I think helping them out to remind them where not to cut with conservation markers might be a good idea. I recommend that along all 3 east towards west property lines. 2 of them run from Cherry and 1 runs right through the parcel line over towards Joseph Drybeck Way. And then the property line where the current deck is slightly over on the owner's unknown section, you could also have conservation markers there. Additionally, like the last property, the new regulations 505-37037.2 foundation requirements would apply. Substantially renovated or reconstructed structures, I think this applies on any barrier beach, coastal dune, buffer to coastal beach, or buffer to salt marsh, are required to be constructed on an open pile type foundation. So the application here would not comply with what the requirements that the commission approved on March 18, 2021. So I think that covers it.
Could I comment on something on that?
Go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm not questioning what Bill's saying. I was just curious. I believe this submittal went in before those new regulations became active. And I just wanted to point that out. If it doesn't matter and we need to have piles, I understand what you're saying. I have read the new regs, but I believe that this was in and submitted before those were voted in.
I can answer. That's a fair and reasonable question.
I can answer that, Bill. We have been advised by town council that anything not ratified prior to March 18th will fall under the new reg, the revised 505s.
Okay.
Do any commissioners have other comments? I have a question about the owner's unknown parcel. Could that be a butter notification problem?
That's an interesting parcel. I spent some time looking at that. It used to be part of this lot. Seems to have got lost in the chain of titles throughout history. Used to be an extension of this parcel, and it seems to just be a sloppy transactions over the years. I believe, my opinion, that's what happened with it. It's not town owned. the nearest owner goes back to the 19 teens, and then it just gets lost. It used to be part of this property. There's certainly nobody paying taxes or even traceable who owns it right now.
Okay. Is anyone here from the public who would like to comment? Hearing none.
Craig, I had a comment about, Rick, as far as the house design, if it's on piles, you can essentially have the same house, right?
You know, it's oh, sure, you certainly could. We're back to the same with the previous application we just went over with wood piles, screws, or piers. This is not being a barrier beach. Would piers be acceptable in this location for open piles?
I'll just read the definition.
Helicals.
The definition says it has to be on open pile type foundation, Rick. So that doesn't talk about concrete piers, and it doesn't talk about helical piles.
So open piles.
Correct. Page 75 of the new
So just free flowing underneath the building. It's what I consider an open pile. Would just be either a wood or a helical screw or a concrete pier, or you're saying that concrete piers do not qualify?
Not the commissioners, they are.
Commissioner Craig?
So we need to settle the question of what the house needs to go on. Concrete foundation walls are not going to apply here.
Yep.
So, do we need to, continue and decide what the underpinnings are going to be here?
Commissioner Craig, may I make a comment?
Please do.
So, Rick, we've got the new regulations, and I think everyone understands what we're trying to achieve, right? And we anticipate that we're going to have to fine tune these as we go along. We come up to these situations. The commission's going to have to figure out. It says pilings, open pilings. If those aren't practical for whatever reason, as Vice Chair Burt was talking about at the other properties, so I do a certain. Then you want to go to the next least, right? Damaging, or whatever the right word would be, methodology, right? You don't want to just go 3 putting footings in the barrier beach or vice versa. So we're not engineers. So I think we need to work cooperatively with the engineers in town. But the goal would be, I think, 1, 2, 3, not 1, 3. If you know what I'm saying, Rick.
Yes, I do understand that. Right.
So and then we can all work it out together, so everyone knows, and it goes smoother, and it's less expensive, and there's less issues. And we're going to look for reasons why it can't. Was sort of like we just had with Terry. So thanks, Rick, for your understanding on this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know on Barrier Beach, where you have scouring issues, particularly where you have an AO area, you want to stay away from footings. In this particular case, I'm not sure of the answer.
Yeah, the engineer can tell us. Thank you, Commissioner Craig.
Yeah, we can look at those. It was based on, at the time, we hadn't seen the new regs, and a foundation this type was previously allowed. But I'm clear on what we're talking about, and I can speak to the client about the pile types. Obviously, just quickly, as you know, the wood piles are super expensive. And then I know cost isn't a factor in deciding these things for the commission, but we'll come back and finalize that. My question would be if they would like to go with concrete piers next. I understand about the footings. They're not a continuous footing, they're isolated footings with these concrete piers. But we'll come back with a revised foundation type that hopefully will be acceptable.
So just to help you on that, check out 215 Island, and that was allowed back then. many,
thank you.
4 years ago.
Okay, any other comments? So I would move that we continue. Do we need a date certain here? You want to,
Yes.
Craig, can I just say one more thing before we close up?
go ahead.
Otherwise, with the position of the home and everything, is the commissioners comfortable with where I have it placed and the proximity on the lot? And then we're just down to foundation type at this point?
I think the conservation markers is something that ought to be discussed.
Yep. I'll show those as Bill had mentioned, but the position of the house as shown here seems acceptable.
I don't have an issue with that. Do any other commissioners have anything to say?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's helpful to people that the commission gives feedback. Then they feel they can go and do what you want them to do.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we're looking for conservation marker placement and alternatives to the foundation as currently proposed. So I would move that we continue to what date? Do you have a preference on date, Rick?
I'm available for the next hearing if there's room for me. I'll get right on this tomorrow.
Is that workable, Bill?
It's April 20th, Madam Hearing Officer.
That works. So I move to continue to April 20th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Rick?
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art?
Art Lagi, yes.
Commissioner Susan?
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt?
Burt O'Donnell, yes.
Chairman Jim?
Run,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Unanimous. Okay, very good. Rick, definitely check out 215 Island. And it's
All right,
due.
thank you.
It's due 12 noon the 13th, okay?
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Rick. Good night.
Bye.
Hi, Rick.
Night.
Commissioners, please make a note. It's 8:37. We're moving on now to Lawson 62 Marginal Street. Read that in. Compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws 131, Section 4 of the Wetland Protection Act, Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetland Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, April 2021, 6:30 p.m. Consider a notice of intent by 62 Marginal Street. Bill, can you mute? Thank you, sir. We have had a request to continue as per the applicant's attorney's written request. We have a hearing officer here of Rick.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Jim.
Yeah.
So this is a new NOI for the Lawson family at 62 Marginal Street. Bill, can you confirm taxes being paid, abutters, and a DEP number, please?
Yes, I have got the taxes on 3/25/21, 3/30/30, the file number. The fees were on 3/17, it's published on 3/31, and I know we had the abutters, but I didn't note it, so bear with me. I think it's gonna take.
I saw them. I saw them.
Yeah, but we have to confirm them for you. Certified abutters list.
Why don't you go ahead, Rick, while he's looking for him?
Okay. So try to make this quick. This is a dock pier float project that's going to end in Green Harbor. It's a 635-foot pier. That's a long one. 47-foot ramp and an 8-foot by 20-foot float. my recommendation for this one is going to be that we're going to have to continue because the request to schedule a hearing was done before any kind of a site visit was scheduled. That has been the protocol all along with docks and piers. We need to get the harbor master, the hearing officer, the Concom administrator, the engineer or two, and even the homeowner, project owner, out to look at the site with staked marks for the floats. We want to see 2.5 feet of water under the float. This is going to, the application is also going to be weighed in against the new 505 regulations for docks. That was the direction we got from council, even though this NOI was placed the evening before March 18th. We're still going to have to apply the new regs for it. We have all come together and agreed on a dock site visit date of May 4th at 12:30. And Paul Seberg at Grady Consulting is asked for a continuance until June 1st. But given the circumstances, my recommendation is to apply a first count of denial without prejudice because a request to set up and schedule a hearing should not have been done before we had the site visit done. So I'm going to make.
I would add to that. I can't find the abutter notifications. We have the butter list certified, but we don't have the butter notification. That's something that we've been looking for. So I haven't seen it.
Okay. I saw a photocopy of a list of addresses that was emailed to Concom back on March 17th.
Did you see the white slips or the green slips?
It was a black and white photocopy.
yeah, but they're white slips or green slips, Rick.
Yeah,
I didn't see them. I think they're not done.
I know. Well, hopefully by June 1st, we'll have those too, if we can't find
We'll
them.
get after them, let them know.
So with that recommendation,
Rick or Bill, I realize you haven't had a chance to look at this in depth, but under the new regs, is there anything that's going to immediately kick this out?
Well, the things that I would be concerned about, the new regs don't allow piles in the river, so that's problematic. We need to see 2.5 feet of water minimum at mean low water under all corners of that float. I think for me, those are the two primary things that jump out. Marine fisheries, we have to, if Paul Seberg is on or the owner is on, Mass Fisheries needs to be pinged so we get their comments back. And the other thing that I would be concerned about, or I think is a worrisome point for the project, is getting the approval of the harbor master for a float that seems to be, I think it was 22 feet away from the mooring field, where I think there's a bunch of fishing boats, lobster boats, and an issue around navigation or safety may be an issue with the harbor master. So those are the issues. We have some time to work these things out. But that's my opinion.
They probably didn't stake in the field yet. We could go down there and check it, but it just goes on and on. So.
Yeah, my only point was to start at the highest level, and if there's anything that's going to kick it out, don't consume too much time on it.
Yeah. Commissioner Rick, may I comment as well?
Yes.
Commissioner Vice Chair Byrd is right. I mean, the new regulations prohibit pilings in the river. This project has, as I understand, have pilings in the river, right?
Correct. As it's currently drawn.
Right. So if they can get to 2.5 feet of water without doing that.
Yeah.
But so Vice Chair Burt, you're right. That's something they're going to have to look at, the new regulations. Thank you, Commissioner Carberry.
Okay.
So the thing is, they asked you guys in advance if you could approve a dog system, and that's not something you could do. So there's been a lot of inquiry about this. So I know they've invested time in it, but the thing is the commission has to have the information in front of it to deliberate. Until they deliver that to you, you're stuck. That's it.
All right. I mean, we're happy to approve projects that meet all the requirements and so forth, and work with people and point out the rough spots or the trouble spots. But we can't we can't grant permission for something ahead of time until there's a plan in place and we go through the steps. And I, as a proud dock and float owner in Marshfield, am painfully familiar with the process.
You are indeed.
That's how I ended up here.
There you go.
So I make a motion that we continue per the request of the engineer on this project till June 1st. Do I get a second, please?
Commissioner Conway, you going to charge with the DWAP in the motion as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Art Loggy, second.
Okay, thank you, Art. So roll call vote. Commissioner Karen.
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Arthur.
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Craig Hannafin.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes, whatever you want to call me.
Chairman Jim.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes.
Thank you, Jim. And lastly, Rick Carberry is also a yes.
Rick, who's your second, please?
Me.
Art?
Art.
Okay. And we got a 6-0. We got a DWAP count 1. All right, noting that down on the file. All right.
All right, so we're now moving to 624 Webster Street. I don't need to read this in. It's already been read in. As you know, I need to recuse on this, and so I will recuse after I say the hearing officer is Commissioner Carberry. And if you would remind me, Rick, to come back in afterwards.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Jim. Okay, Green Harbor Golf Course. This was a hearing that was continued from April 6th. Unfortunately, over a technicality around the incorrect forms used for abutters, but that has been sorted out now. And Mr. Administrator, can you confirm for me taxes, DEP number, and abutters, in fact, have all been checked at this point?
Yeah, taxes paid on 3/4/2021, the butters on 4/2/2021. We got the file number on March 18, 2021. And we have the fees paid on 3/2/2021. It was published on 3/10/2021.
Okay. All right. Mr. Grafton, myself and Eric all visited the golf course on 3/23 and huddled with the engineer and the owners of the Green Harbor Golf Club, and got an update on the plans and began to work through some of the initial questions and issues that were raised. The project is to add a driving range that's, I think, parallel to the 10th hole, a 204-yard driving range, which means they're going to put a net and some poles at the end. My balls usually never go that far anyway, but for you guys that hit it long, you'll end up in the net. They're also planning a 18 by 25 foot addition to the clubhouse kitchen, so they can do a better job of and have more room to serve scrumptious meals. And there's also some additional parking that's planned on the property to accommodate more visitors. And that location is going to be, as is the rest of the project, all in pre-disturbed areas. So on a note from my side, I think it's would be a great resource to have that in town. I commend the owners of the golf course to do that. We can teach young children how to play golf. People like myself can work on our swings, and I think it'll be a wonderful addition to the town once we can all get free and get out and enjoy open air and hit the ball next to each other and have that cold drink at the end. So that's my end of my monologue. Dana, you want to summarize the project for us, please?
Sure, absolutely. Good evening. My name is Dana Altabello. I'm with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. I'm here along with Attorney Frank Hubbard, Rob from R Squared Architects, Larry Cholfi, and we're all representing the owners, Mitty Francis and John Harrington, who are also on here. As you mentioned, the Green Harbor Golf Course is located on the northerly side of Webster Street, approximately 1,800 feet to the southwest of the intersection of Parsonage Street. The property consists of 2 parcels with an approximate total acreage of 148 acres. Historically, the property has been an existing golf course with a clubhouse, 2 residential structures, and then associated parking areas, driveways, and maintenance-related houses and sheds on the property. The majority of the proposed expansion will take place near the existing clubhouse and the 2 residential structures. There are extensive wetland resource areas on and around the site. The Green Harbor River sits to the west of the golf course, and its resource areas were flagged by Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration towards the end of 2020. Would it be okay to share my screen, or is that something?
Sure, Dan, we'll take care of you.
Okay.
Bear with me. It's coming your way.
All right, great. Where'd it go? Huh. Just went away.
I can put Torrey
Oh, there it
Pines
is.
up while everybody's waiting. Oh, there we
There it
go.
is. Sorry about that. It was. I had too many things open and it was off the screen.
There we go.
I apologize. So as I mentioned, the Green Harbor River is over here to the west. Brad Holmes has flagged the wetlands, which are shown here in blue. We do have some natural heritage estimated in priority habitat shown here in purple. And we have the 100 and the 200 foot riverfront areas shown here in pink going through the existing site. And there is also some, excuse me, some FEMA flood elevation, elevation 9, and it's an AE zone shown here in the middle on the higher portion of the property. We have shown to go along with the BVW flagging, we have shown the 25-foot buffer, the 50-foot buffer, the 75-foot buffer, and of course the 100-foot buffer, which encompasses a lot of the proposed driving range. Recently, the 2 existing structures in this area, as well as the house back here, were used by the fire department for some training exercises. These have since been taken down. We'll also be, as part of this project, taking down this existing garage over in this area, which is in very close proximity to the wetland and the limits of the river itself. This project proposes to expand the existing golf course in as much as they're creating a new driving range, as you can see in this area. There will be a new driving range structure on this area where you'll be hitting balls kind of out in this direction. The driving range structure will have the top tracer technology, so it'll track your balls, similar to a Top Golf type situation. So it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be easy to bring the whole family there. And then we're also proposing a small 370 square foot addition over in this area to add the necessary conveniences to allow for a full restaurant and bar to be created in the existing clubhouse, which will provide full food service and drink service in the clubhouse, as well as food and drink service out to the driving range building itself too. We have, as Mr. Carberry had mentioned, we've proposed 3 new ADA accessible parking spaces in this area. And we've also provided ADA accessible access up to the new buildings along these ramps in this area, as well as 10 new parking spaces for employee parking over in an existing grass area here. We'll be utilizing the grass paved 2 technology, just so we don't have to provide any more pavement. It'll just be, in overflow situations when they need to free up some parking, they can have the staff park in this area. It'll be sturdy enough to maintain the weight of the cars, but it'll still be a grass surface and, no additional impervious area, especially within such close proximity to the wetland resource areas. There are existing driveways you can see kind of through this area, along with these existing structures. All these existing driveways up to about here will be removed, and they'll be replaced with new gravel access drives, as you can see here with this lighter beige color. And of course, the 3 structures that I had mentioned will be removed as well. So that will also reduce the impervious area on the site. We're also proposing to relocate the existing non-conforming Title V septic system, which is currently in this area, out to the higher area out here, so we can provide the necessary separation of groundwater up in this high spot within the driving range over in this area. The proposed site improvements have been designed to be in compliance with the Stormwater Management Handbook for both water quality and quantity. And as I mentioned, with the removal of all this existing pavement and roof structures, we're actually reducing the impervious area on site by about 17,000 square feet. So as a result, naturally, there'll be a pretty substantial reduction in the peak rates of runoff, as a result of this reduction in impervious area on the property. Soils testing has been performed throughout the site. It did reveal very pervious soils consistent with the hydrologic soil group A soils, which is very coarse pervious material. As such, this fits perfectly with a qualifying pervious area within the driving range. So we're able to take all the roof runoff from both the driving range building and the new addition and direct that towards the qualifying pervious area here, which will have a level overflow spreader, which will evenly direct flow onto this qualifying pervious area. These areas are flat and grassed currently, or they're proposed to be grassed, so they perfectly fit the requirements of the stormwater management policies, low impact development credit number 2. As such, it is assumed that these areas will meet the stormwater management handbook's requirements for water quality and recharge volumes set forth in the stormwater handbook. Additionally, since the course was constructed in approximately 1966, it does predate the Wetlands Protection Act. So currently on site, there are areas, as you can see, where there's clearing right up to the resource areas. As part of this project, we're not proposing anything closer to the wetland resource areas than what's currently existing out there. There is an existing metal garage over in this area, as I mentioned, which gets as close as 5.6 feet from the BVW. That once that's removed, that'll no longer be the closest point of structure to the BVW. Will increase out from 5.6 feet as it is now, out to 24 feet to the new driving range building. So there'll be a big improvement in that area. Additionally, in order to ensure that there's no sedimentation to the wetland resource areas, we have proposed a contiguous line of silt sock shown here in red, down gradient of all work, just to ensure that there's no sedimentation that'll occur during construction. I think that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to go through them. I think Manny and John Harrington wanted to say a few words as well, just to give a brief overview from the ownership.
Yeah, Manny, Mr. Harrington, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Chair People, to allow us to speak tonight. And I think Chairperson Carberry said it very well. We're hoping to improve on the property. 5 years ago, Manny Francis Sr., our patriarch, passed away. We created a board of directors to look at the future. We're really proud to be celebrating our 50th year in business in Marshfield, and we're looking towards the next 50 years. It's become prudent for us to be competitive in this market, to be able to have both that driving range facility and expanded food services as all of our major competitors have. So this is really important for us. We also we're in a position where the homes that are no longer occupied were creating a hardship for us. They were creating costs for us. They are, as you know, non-conforming properties. They were costing flood insurance and maintenance, and it's impossible for us to sell them and to commercialize them. So it's important for us to, at the same time, while we expand and create our competitive advantage in the marketplace, to also look at putting that land to good use. And so this has a duality that we think is important for the future of the family and for the town. So that's the genesis of why now and why this particular project.
Excellent.
And Manny, I know you have a lot of great thoughts on as well.
No, I appreciate that, John. Yes, as a family, it's been a team effort, as a family effort. My father definitely provided us a good footprint, and I'm excited to be offering down the road as a family this driving range and other exciting things that we're going to be doing. I think the driving range is something that we can do to provide a future for us as well as for the town. Not much you can do right now as with COVID going on. And I think having that ability, even not knowing the future, it's a positive in my mind. So I'm excited, and I know my family's excited. So that makes me happy when I hear my kids are excited and my wife's excited.
Okay. Thanks, Manny. Appreciate the comments from you all, gentlemen. Just one quick footnote before we ask Bill Grafton to make his comments. We did send the original plans to DPW, and our town engineer, Rod Procaccino, did a detailed analysis and pointed out a bunch of things that he had issues with or questions about that Dana and his team have resolved at this point, including some concerns about where the poles for the netting were going and some concerns for the roots of major trees. Some additional detail requested on the driving range bays. That was done. Again, the requirement, no further work beyond the pre-disturbed areas. We needed some stormwater calculations. I believe that was done. And lastly, some site inspection reports for long-term pollution prevention. All those things, to my view, have been addressed at this point in the last revision. So, Bill, do you want to make some comments?
Sure. First off, thanks for hosting us and giving us good detail back in the fall when we met with all the town departments. Thanks. And then having Eric and I and the hearing officer to talk to you more about this. I've been to the site multiple times. I was out there today just kind of re-reviewing the wetland delineation line. And, we all know it's a challenge from a wetland perspective, but much of that happened before the Wetlands Protection Act. I noted that the building was, the facility was from the 1960s and the act was 1972. Let that be known for the record. Dana, quick question for you. You said that the proposed closest is 24.2 from the proposed driving range to approximately, I don't know what wetland flag that is. It's on the corner of B14 and I don't know what, maybe W13 there. Is that what you're saying is the closest there?
That's correct. That's the closest proposed part of the buildings.
What about the posts that are close to C5 over there? Are they closer?
This is actually about the same as the building over here. I think this is 5.6. This is 5.9 or something like that.
So it's equal.
Utility pole right here.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the new construction pole.
Oh, the new construction. Yeah, the new poles. They're quite a bit further. I think it's like 13 or something like that.
Talking about the C flags, Dana. Real quick there. Is there anything closer than that we should just note so the commission knows?
Yes, there are. This pole right here is probably about 14 feet. I was kind of speaking from
I would note that there are intermittent posts and maybe there's one a little bit closer. Okay, it's not at full structure like the driving range. So for the caretakers of the property, this wetlands that's there, the wetland flag C1 through C2. How have you been able to maintain that over the years without, anything happening to it? What has been your practice?
Honest, so you're asking a question. I really don't even go in there. So it's just left alone.
Perfect. All right, just want to make sure it's on there for the record, stays intact. The rest of it looked great to me, and I want to let you thank us for getting out there and seeing it. Your property is riddled with beautiful wetland plants. You've got cattails, you've got soft rush, you've got red maple, you've got sweet pepper bush, you've got high bush blueberry, and you have limited invasives, so it's a fortunate thing. Those are all important wetlands. That's the only thing I'm just going to say. Have a good day on that one.
Okay, great. Thank you, Bill. Fellow commissioners, comments, questions from you folks? Everybody, Bert, Vice Chair Bert?
Yeah, Rick, I was out there to visit. I agree with you. It looks good to me.
Okay, excellent. I know you're a boater and not a golfer, but maybe we can convert you. Comments, questions from the public? Anybody from the public, the abutters? Anyone? Yeah, everybody's happy. You guys have been good stewards out there with all the abutters. So this is when it comes back. This is when it pays back right now, right?
Absolutely.
Preparation is off.
Thank you.
All right. Well, given that this has gone so smoothly, I'd like to make a motion that we close the hearing with special conditions. And Bill, one special condition that I think was brought up was under the stormwater commentary. It has to do with, sweeping the impervious surfaces and replacing any sod or grass that gets ruined on a quarterly basis. So maybe I'd ask you to add that into the orders.
I can do that, Mr. Hearing Officer. Give me a few seconds. All right. Okay, right. That was part of Dana's comments about best management practices. Perfect. So before you start commencing the work, you'll register both sets of orders, both at Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, post a Mass DEP sign. You'll follow all Marshfield pertinent bylaws, obtain all subsequent permits. Ensure road control is in place as per Dana's plan. Applicant shall observe 310 CMR 10.05 requirements that no work shall commence until all the applicable administrative appeal periods have elapsed. There's a document called the Illicit Discharge Compliance Statement. Dana will help you with this. It's standard 10. It needs to be signed by the responsible party and submitted to the conservation administrator or agent prior to starting the work. Also, you'll coordinate a pre-construction meeting with the conservation administrator or agent. Two, during the construction of the proposed work, ensure best management practices, building codes, and stormwater report, which you've already presented, which has guidance, includes discharge of roof runoff into downspouts and subsurface are followed. You had provided a architectural from R2 Architects showing that discharge. So we'd like to see that go into the subsurface. All righty. D3, post-construction of the proposed work, ongoing conditions. The following shall be ongoing conditions that remain in perpetuity. Note, illicit discharge compliance statement that has been signed by the responsible party as part of the D1 pre-construction special conditions shall be kept current as appropriate. 2, maintain a copy of the current stormwater report on the site for all times for reference. 3, ensure the best management practices, including street sweeping the driveways and parking areas quarterly, and qualifying pervious areas shall be reviewed once per year for ponding and repair as appropriate. And I think that's it, Mr. Hearing Officer.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for reading the orders for us. So can I get a second on the motion, please?
Craig Hannafin. Go ahead, Sue.
I heard Craig. Let's give it to Craig.
Okay.
All
Craig
right.
Hannafin, second.
Okay, then we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Okay, Vice Chair Burt?
Burt O'Donnell, yes.
Commissioner Arthur?
Marlotti, yes.
Commissioner Susan?
Susan Karen, yes.
Chairman Jim?
He's out. He's recused.
Oh, he's recused. That's right. Okay. And lastly, myself, Rick Carberry, also a yes.
So it's a unanimous at 500.
500. So Green Harbor Golf Course, going to have a brand new driving range. Thank you for your investment. Continue to help golf grow and prosper and teach all these new players how to hit the ball.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you very
That was
much.
great.
Have
Very
a
nice
great
job.
evening.
Everyone, thank you, Chair. Thank
All
you,
right,
Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
You as well.
Thank
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Bye.
Okay, I am back from my recusal.
Okay, Chairman Jim is back.
I am back. So the rest, I believe, are all continuances, and then we have certificate of compliance. So I'll see if I can do a better job, Craig. If I don't, would you please give me one of these?
Oh, no.
So I'm going to read through these, and then we'll do one ratification in case, and we'll give comment time to each. So 300 Ridge, here it is here. SC 422820. We're going to vote to continue the 4/20/21 public meeting as per the applicant's representative's written request to allow time to respond to the administrator's request for additional information. Any comments, or do we move to the next?
I'm just looking at it, Jim. So,
We're just continuing, Bill.
yeah, I know. You asked for comments. I'm looking. I didn't see any that I put down.
Okay. Next, we're moving to South River. South River is here. Going to be making the motion to vote to continue the 4/20/21 public meeting per the applicant represented qualified wetland scientist. I was quarantined due to a COVID-19. Any questions from any commissioners or comments? If without that, I will move to the next. Okay. So keep an order here. The next one is 257 Oak. 257 Oak. I'll make a motion vote to continue to 4/20 public meeting as the applicant's representative's wetland scientist was quarantined during COVID-19. Got any comments? I will move to the next. Next is Brewster. Vote to continue to 4/20 or 5/4 public meeting as per the applicant's attorney's written request by email 4/1/21. Any comments or requests?
You might want to pick a time, a date on that one to keep
We
it
can,
out.
we can if you want. We're pretty busy in 4/20. If they offered 5/4, let's go to 5/4.
They didn't offer either. He said, I need to continue. I sent an email because he said the next meeting he thought was 5/4. I said it's 4/20 or 5/4. Which do you want? I never heard back.
Well, you offer both? They didn't say they had any choice, right?
They didn't respond to my email.
Let me ask the question again. You offered both.
Yeah.
They didn't give you a choice of which they wanted.
They didn't respond in giving me a choice. That is correct.
Okay, so then we seem to have a choice. If they want to come back, we could try to work on it later, but we'll go to 5/4 unless I have objection from anyone on that.
My thought is that you might get surprised and be like, what happened to my 4/20? And that's the only problem. I don't
So
know.
why is it on my notes? So why don't we just leave it at 4/20? All right.
Yeah.
Wasting 5 minutes of discussion. Okay, I will make the motion for 4/20.
Chair Kilcoyne?
Yes, who's there?
So this is Kim Crowe.
Girl, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good.
I'm on vacation. 4/20. I didn't know the dates that were being discussed. So if 5/4 is an option also, I would just ask that that be the date.
Okay. So we now have a request from an attorney that's working on this project for 5/4. We didn't hear back whether it's 4/20 or 5/4 previously. So I will go back to where I was before, and I'm going to make the motion officially to make it 5/4/2021. Okay. So we did that one. And I think that's all of them. So I would like to now make the motion as per spoken and discuss the continuous dates as with discussion. Make a motion that we accept all those continuances. Look for a second.
Come on.
I'm going to give that to Arthur. You see, he's been up since 2 a.m.
Yes.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Mr. Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. Okay, so we have continued to those dates. Next, we are almost done. We're in certificate of compliances. And our first certificate of compliance is 422114 Perry Gallagher Homes, 465 Spring Street. I'd like to make a motion to vote to approve a complete certificate of compliance in order of the resource area delineation or add satisfactory complied. I would like a second for that, please.
Second, Rick Carberry.
Seconded by Rick. All in favor, we will go roll call vote. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. Okay. Next is LeConte SE 422563. Upon going on the site, Eric and Bill came up with 3 issues that they would want to have resolved prior to making a recommendation on this. It's a high vac platform with timber files being lined in some way with plastic sheeting. With some special conditions, H and I on the order conditions with coastal plant vegetation conditions. So I'm going to vote that we table the certificate of compliance here, and we invite Conti in to speak to us at our next business session. Bill, I assume that's another 420, right?
Yeah, 420.
Okay, so I'd like to make that motion. Look for a second, please.
Craig Hannafin, second.
All right, Commissioner Craig. Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Hart.
I have to recuse on this one.
Thank you, sir. Reminding me, Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. We're gonna bring Art back from recusal.
I'm back.
He's back. Just like the Terminator. We have the last and final one, Kemp. Not final, I shouldn't say. 2115 SE 422751. I'd like to make a motion. We vote to approve a certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions as follows. There shall be no disturbance down gradient of the 4 field located conservation markers depicted on the as-built dated March 24th, 2021, prepared by the Environmental Engineer Technologies, signed and stamped by Robert C. Crawford, RPE. And with that condition, I'd like to make a motion that it be added and that compliance. We need someone for a second.
Craig
Second.
Hannafin, second.
Anyone?
Second.
Susan!
I can.
Thank you, Susan. All right, so we have a second roll call vote. Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Arthur.
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. And with that, without any further motions, suggestions, or conversations that need to be had, none, I would like to make a motion that we close the hearing of the Marshfield Conservation Commission on 4/6/2021 and like a second.
Craig Hannafin, second.
Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
and we will go Craig Hannafin.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Art.
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. Meeting's closed.